We have over 75 organs in our bodies. Some are really, really important and we can't function without them, like the brain. But the one that we're going to be exploring today is one that we definitely can't live without. It is, drumroll please, the heart. Look at it there. It's about the same size as your fist. So if you make a fist, that's roughly the size of your heart. So my heart would be a little bit bigger than this, just a little bit. Did you know that your heart is constantly beating? From the first day you're alive to the last day when it stops. So what exactly does our heart do? Well, the heart is made out of muscle, and it's the heart's job to send blood all the way around your body. This blood provides your body with oxygen and nutrients that it needs. It also carries away the waste in our blood. So your heart is sort of like a pump or two pumps in one. Now, you've probably seen this in Munt or Emer's classes when you're raising your pulse through exercise. But if you want to feel the process of your heart beating, you can put your hand here or here, or even on the left side of your chest, here. Boom, 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 boom. So what we're feeling when we do that is our heart pumping blood all the way around our bodies. Pretty cool. Okay, so our hearts are very important for ensuring that oxygen gets brought all around our bodies. And when our heart stops beating, we die. So how exactly do we look after our hearts? After all, it's working pretty hard for us. We should probably look after it. Well, there are a few ways actually. The first one is eating healthily and eating foods with low sugar and fat content. That's a really good start. If you eat too much of these foods with a high sugar and a high fat content, your heart comes under pressure and it makes it harder to pump blood around the body. Now, another way of making sure that your heart stays healthy is to stay active. We all know that when you exercise, your heart rate increases. It starts to beat faster. Boom, 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 boom. So basically, when you exercise, it's a great way of staying fit and healthy. And when your heart is working out, it stays healthier too. So keep pumping those guns. It's good for your heart. It kind of goes back to what I said earlier on about eating foods with a high sugar or fat content. The more of those foods you eat, the more weight you eventually put on. And the more weight you put on, the more pressure you can put on your heart, especially later in life. Makes sense, right? Now, I don't want you to think that every time you bite into a delicious donut that you're putting your heart at risk. Don't get me wrong, I love a treat every now and again as much as the next person. But just to keep an eye on your diet, and remember the golden rule, everything in moderation. That means little bits. So technically you can eat whatever you want as long as you have a good, healthy balance of good food as well as food that's heavy in sugars and fats, every now and again. Now, the next way to keep a healthy heart is to monitor or watch your cholesterol and your blood pressure. Now, there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. But when there's too much bad cholesterol, it can stick to the walls of our arteries, which is where the blood flows through in our bodies. So as you get older, you keep an eye on your cholesterol and make sure that you're all good. Now, as well as cholesterol, I mentioned blood pressure. So we need to make sure that our heart can pump blood and oxygen around our bodies and that your heart isn't under too much pressure. So the way we do that is that we make sure our blood pressure is nice and low. Now, when we hear that we're going to the doctors to get our blood pressure checked, we hear the word blood, and that might make us a little bit nervous. But there's really nothing to worry about. And to show you that there's nothing to worry about, I am Muntor John. I'm going to take my blood pressure right now on national television. Now, I really hope it's low, because if not, I'll have to make an appointment with the doctor. So here we go. I have my blood pressure machine here, and I just want to show you that there's nothing to worry about and it's not sore. So I'm going to put my left arm up here. I'm going to put this Velcro around, And it's tight, but it's not too tight. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to start this machine, and this piece here is going to inflate so that it can feel how hard my heart is pushing blood around my body. And then it's going to give me a reading. Here we go. The best thing to do when you're getting your blood pressure checked is to relax. So it's getting tighter on my arm, and we're getting a nice reading. Now, it might be a little bit higher than normal because, let's face it, there's cameras pointing at me. We're on television, you're here. It's just pumping up a little bit more air into my arm to make sure I can get a good reading. I'm very relaxed. I'm very chill. And although I can feel pressure on my arm, it's not in any way sore. It's completely fine. Okay, so it says here that my heart rate is 133/88. Now, it says on the little leaflet that I got with my blood pressure machine that the ideal blood pressure is 120/80. So mine is 103/88. So it's a little bit higher than ideal, but I don't think I'm in any danger either. Okie dokie, artichoke. We've checked the blood pressure and I'm feeling fine. Now, before I let you go, I thought we'd do a challenge. Let's see how many times a heart beats every day. Now, adults' hearts normally beat a lot slower than children's, so we're going to measure mine. But you might get a different answer to mine because adults' and children's hearts beat at a different rate. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check our pulse and see how many times that my heart beats in 10 seconds. Here we go. Okay, great. So my heartbeat 10 times in 10 seconds. So now we're going to multiply that by 6 and we'll see how many times that my heart would beat in a minute. 10 times 6 equals 60 beats per minute. Once we have a reading for a minute, we can multiply that by 60 again. Why? Because that will give us how many times our heart or my heart will beat in an hour. So let's do that now. 60 times 60. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. Put down a 0. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 6 is 36. Add them together. 3,600 times per hour. So now, we know that my heart beats 3,600 times every single hour. So now if we multiply that by 24, we'll find out how many times my heart beats in 24 hours, e.g. one day. Here we go. 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 6 is 24, so we put up our 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Put down our 0. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0, 4 plus 0 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 1 plus 7 is 8. So, in a day, my heart is going to beat, as long as I don't raise my pulse, 86,400 times in one day. You know what? I'm going to hold my heart here and I'm just going to boola bus more for our heart. That is serious work.